Hello and welcome, I'm Tony. You may know me for one particular game, and you may be asking, what happened to it? What happened to the game? You know, the game, with furries and flamethrowers and stuff. Furious Outbreak. That's why I'm here. After a long time since this game lost its popularity, I'm going to try to explain as short as possible what was happening these past 2 years or so. Basically, it was 2020. I used to make a lot of games back then. You can check them out, by the way. Sometime in October, I noticed my friend playing some game called Transformation, and I found this game pretty fun to play too. I really liked the map too and the eerie ambience it provided, although I did not like the balance in the game. It was largely on the side of the transferred players, and that's when I've had an idea in mind. How fun would it be if the game had weapons? And the first thing that came to my mind was flamethrowers. Yeah, that's because I was quite inspired at the time by this movie called The Thing, 1982. So I started working on the map. I really liked the way it came out, though it wasn't big at the time. But soon I somehow figured out how to make an infection tool. I was never a good scripter, and I worked on the game practically alone. The only guys that were helping me out is my friend 2053H, which created this music masterpiece, and another guy by the name of Hunter the Coolest, which helped me out a little with models. Then there's another one of my friends that helped me out a bit later. It was Marius, but we'll come back to him later. The game started off as just an ordinary joke. It was nothing more than it. The game even has some lore in it, and it, it's basically just a joke. It's a meme. Long story short, there was a guy by the name of Melon Usk who ran a lot of companies and founded Neuralinks and Boring companies. Neuralinks specifically developed neurotechnological and genetic engineering, but in order to play it safe, for special studies, they, together with Boring Company, built a research facility underground in Antarctica. Then the coronavirus pandemic began, and a few months later, Neuralinks successfully created a vaccine against it. After a lot of scientific discoveries, Melon Ask decided that it was time to develop genetically engineered cat girls.
Why not cat boys? They're way better.
Alright, cat boys too. Just maybe. There was some successes, but at one point there was an experiment which had gone wrong, and parasitic creatures which looked just like furries took over the entire research facility. The survivors later found that flamethrowers were the only effective measure against the parasite. The game itself takes place about a month after the incident, and that's pretty much it. Furious Outbreak had about a few dozens of regular players in the beginning, what made me really happy, and I've had a lot of motivation to continue. Later in November, the original transformation went down because of some drama I'm not going to go into details about. But the important thing is that I found out that transformation was based on a Steam game, Changed, which Roblox was not fond of at all, but I had to mention it in the description. And Furious Outbreak quickly gained its popularity, but it got taken down a few weeks later by Roblox. It's because of the description of the game, which mentioned Changed. So my account was banned for the entire week, and my game was permanently deleted just because of the description. Like, seriously, Roblox, what the hell? What are you doing? Anyway, I mean, you could insistently ask to change the description of the game, or delete the description of the game itself. But deleting Furious Outbreak just because of the mention of another game in the description is a bit overkill, don't you think? Anyway, obviously, I had to change the description and move the game from my account to the group. What was the right decision and should have been done from the very beginning, I think. But by the time other similar copies of Transformation had already appeared, some of them were even better than Furious Outbreak. And I didn't have a lot of time to develop Furious Outbreak. I ended up getting burnt out and post updating the game in January of 2021. Then I continued to do small updates in February. People asked me to do a lot of things. They wanted me to revamp the infection tools, they wanted me to make the map bigger, they wanted me to make new transfers, new weapons and such. I tried to make some of that, but eventually I gave up. In March of 2021, uh, very few people played the game, but it's the time when my friend Marius asked me for permission to develop Furious Outbreak. Uh, I agreed because I was no longer up to the game at the moment, and I didn't really care. Over the course of many months, he added a lot of new locations, new transfers, and much more, for which I'm very grateful to him. But he wasn't better than me in development and scripting and other aspects. The game had a lot of issues, what made it almost unplayable. It didn't feel and play like the old Furious Outbreak, and looked raw in many aspects. In 2021 and 2022, I didn't do much development. I had a lot of drama in my life, because of which I didn't feel like making any new games or developing old ones. And despite this, last year in August, I released the classic version of Furious Outbreak. This was a temporary solution to the problems of the game, but I plan to remake Furious Outbreak in the coming months, and also possibly release one new game, but I'll keep it a secret right now. But I'm also going to update my old projects, such as Red Soil and Interstellar. I will try to keep the best of the Marius updates, while keeping it consistent with the old feel of the game and solving the bugs. Perhaps I will introduce new features from newer and better games of this genre into Furious Outbreak. I hope you are excited to see all this in the future and that I will be able to do all this for you. I also released the soundtrack for the game on this channel, make sure to check it out. And it's all I wanted to say for this video. Have a nice day!